This was a recent outing in the Zwift Racing series. Alley, 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 stage 5, Hell of the North. You can see that it's a relatively flat course, a few lumps and bumps along the way, but then finishes on a climb up the Petit KOM at the end of the course. And pretty much from the start I was thinking, I don't fancy that very much, but let's have a look and see how we go. And you can see at the moment it's been a particularly fast start. So all of these Zwift Racing series races are pretty fast starts, and you have to make sure you're on it on the starting line to stay with the front group if that's whereabouts you want to be. But this just continued, and you can see I've averaged over 360 watts for the first minute or so, and it's still pulling 300-400 watts as we go round into this first right hand bend as we start lap 1 of our 19.6 kilometre single lap race. So what we'll do in this video is we'll take you through some of it in quicker time a little bit later on, and then we'll come back to it towards the end as we get towards that climb. But you can see I'm pushing to stay with the front group, and on this first little climb you can see that the powers are up. I'm sitting in the sort of middle of the field trying to make the most of the draft. And yeah, this is definitely one of the toughest races that I've taken part in recently. This was in the advanced category, as you'd expect, and interestingly it was on the first Monday that this stage of the race came out. And I think that's probably why it was so full of all of the let's say, you know, more powerful riders. I've raced in the advanced category a couple of times, but usually later in the week, and it would be interesting to see if this is how they always are. That, you know, at the beginning of the week you've got the really powerful riders who, you know, get their race in early, and then as the week goes on there's less numbers, and maybe it's people like me who are just trying to race up a category. So we'll fast forward it now as we go through the next 15 kilometers or so, and as you can see, generally speaking, the pack stays together for the most part during the race. And quite nicely, I unlocked a new paint job for my Zwift Classic bike, but even now I'm pushing myself pretty hard, and actually you can see at the bottom of the screen that there's a lot of red in there already. Just whilst you're watching the video, if you are thinking of buying a Zwift ride, or indeed any Zwift hardware at the moment, I've got an affiliate link in the description below. It's a bit of a win-win. I would get a small introductory commission which I'll reinvest in the channel, and you will get some discounts. So if you're looking to buy anything, then check that out. You might save yourself some money. But back to the race, and you can see that really the pace hasn't let off. We're coming up to 4.5 kilometers through the race, only about 6 minutes. And this has become a pretty sort of standard theme throughout the race, that there's one person who seems to go off the front for a little bit, then gets pulled back, then somebody else will go. And you can see there's somebody there at the front now who's just pulling away, keeping at the front, sort of spreading the pack out as much as they can. But being such a strong pack, packed full of, you know, really good riders, it doesn't actually get strung out as maybe some of those people just doing those mini breaks were hoping for. So we go through the lumps and bumps, and I have to say I was not lucky at all with my power-ups during this race. You can see that there isn't a hill for ages, in fact all the way to the end of the race, but I've got a feather, and loads of other people, and they've got the steamroller, much more useful on the cobbles as we go around this section of the course. But anyway, you play with the hand of cards that you're dealt, so no point complaining about it now, but certainly the steamroller would have been more useful. And indeed later on I get basically the wrong power up again, as you'll see. But yeah, the pack's all grouping together. I'm really still having to push just to stay on track with the rest of the peloton. If you like these kind of videos, then please subscribe and like the video. It all helps the channel, keeps my motivation levels high to keep on putting out this kind of content, which I hope you like. So we're coming up to roughly around the halfway mark now, and again, you know, the peloton's still staying together. I'm still somewhere middle to back of it, making sure that I don't get dropped off too far off the back, but equally I am, well, I would like to say I'm conserving my energy, but actually in reality it's just a case of keeping up for me. And you can see on the side there that, you know, it's getting hot and hard work on my indoor cycling setup. So we keep pushing on. We can see that as we get into this 2/3 stage of the race, that actually the power outputs have dropped a little bit, but even so, after 15 minutes, I've still been putting out an average of 310 watts, and my heart rate is staying pretty consistently above 150, which for me is about 90% of my max heart rate, so still pretty high, and you know, still burning the calories. So as we come round into the final third, once again another power up is granted, and we're on the cobbles, and what will it be? Yeah, it's a feather. Great. So no steamroller for me again. I'm not entirely sure why I seem to get the feathers and everybody else gets the steamrollers. Well, not everyone, there's a couple of people in the same boat as me. I do think in these Zed Racing Series kind of events that it would be fairer if everybody got the same power up at the same time, but you know, that's just my thoughts. I think it would make it more even for the field. You can see that I nearly lost the peloton there, had to put some work in to make sure I pulled myself back. As we come into the final 5 kilometers, I'm still pretty pleased with myself actually. I did have a little sneak peek on zracing.app beforehand to see where I was in the field, and basically I am the second lowest velo rating score in this race. So I wasn't expecting great things from myself, and I did try and think, well, what I will do is try and stay with the pack for as long as I can, and hopefully all the way to the climb. And we're kind of getting there. So we'll slow it down as we go into this lead into the climb. We've got another power up. I wonder what it will be this time, especially thinking that we've got a hill coming. No, it's the steamroller. Oh, fantastic. So that'll help. Anyway, continuing on. Basically the wrong power up on every single power up through the whole of the race, and you know, I'd love to say that that affected my finish position, but it definitely didn't. But you know, it's just psychological, it helps, doesn't it? So we keep pushing and we're trying to stay on the back of the peloton, but as you can see now, there's some of the more advanced riders, let's say, pushing off the front, and the peloton is starting to spread out, and you can see by my face that I am properly feeling it at the moment. I'm still pulling 350, 390 watts, trying to stay with the back of the peloton and making no impression on them whatsoever, to the point where actually I've eased off a bit. I think I've come to the decision mentally, there's no way I'm catching the people at the front, not with the climb coming, which is my least strong part of my cycling repertoire. As we come into the climb, there's basically myself and there's a guy called Doig, I think is how you pronounce it, behind me, from Scotland. And I just thought, right, okay, well maybe I can keep with this guy and we can climb this hill together. So let's see how we get on with that as we start the Petit KOM. It's a relatively gradual gradient, but then you can see it starts to go up a little bit before leveling out just after that, and then we climb again. So I try to draft as much as I can. We're still doing 30 kilometers an hour, so there's still a little bit of draft to be had. Take a drink of water, James, and we're still pulling 250 to 300 watts, and out of the saddle to try now and keep with Mr. Doig in front of me. And indeed I slightly go past him, but let me tell you, this will be relatively short-lived, as you'll see in a moment. As the incline starts to get slightly more steep, we're keeping the power up and still pushing towards the summit of the Petit KOM. It goes on and on, this particular climb, round some bends, gets a little bit steeper, and then eventually we get to the final bit at the top. But you can see now that my buddy who was cycling up with me has decided that he's not going to wait for me anymore. I was obviously holding him back. We'll speed it up now because you can see he just pulls away from me and I basically end up on my own as we go into this last kilometre. But let's have a quick look at how the results turned out, because as I said, and as you can see here on the left hand side, it's pretty much the weakest rider in the race. All of those velo scores are all in category 1s and category 2s, and you can see I'm the highest category 3 in the position that I finished in. And it was a similar story with Zwift Racing score. In the middle there you can see the ZRS scores for everybody. They're all 8s, 9s, high 7s and what have you. And here I come up at the bottom in a moment in 35th, and I'm at 683. And what I found surprising about this is in that strength of field, with the second lowest score in the field. My Z Racing score actually went down at the end of this, even though I finished higher than some of those people with a ZRS higher than me. So I think there's something in the ZRS score that Zwift needs to look at. It obviously doesn't take into account the strength of the field, or if it does, not as much as it should do. So I decided just to fast forward up the rest of the climb for you. No point watching me killing myself going up there. And as we pass the finish line, we finish up in 35th. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Let's see what I thought in real time.
Well, bloody hell, that was the toughest one I've done for a while. So, timeline, I had loads of red, and then there was this rest period, and then we came to the hill. I just didn't have enough left. But 297 average, it's not too bad. And you can see, yeah, I mean, there's no sprinting as such, but you know, at that 10-minute mark, pretty good. 30-minute mark, oh, that's pretty good. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed watching me suffer. And please like and subscribe if you like the content, and I'll see you on the next video. Ride on.